Hello everybody, thought I'd do something different today and take you through a recent build that I did. It's a home theater PC running a Intel i5-8400 CPU, 6-core unit, so bang up to date and perfectly good performance. Running a Asus Prime H310 Plus motherboard with all the usual latest support for things like USB 3, video outputs in the way of HDMI, VGA and DVI, so multi-monitor support. It has a support for an M.2 drive as well, which is mounted underneath the motherboard, and that basically supports both SATA and PCI Express NVMe drives as well. Memory support is in the way of dual channel DDR4. We are using a kit of 2 DIMMs in this particular build, running at speeds of 2666 megs. This is the underside of the board, and we use this to mount the aftermarket cooler which we're going to use, as well as the M.2 drive as well, which is obviously for your hard drive purposes. Apart from that, it supports USB 3, it's got various fan out headers, and does everything exactly as you'd expect it to do. We're using Corsair Vengeance LPX memory modules today, 2 of them, 4 gigs each, running at a stated speed of 2666 megahertz. We also use an aftermarket Noctua cooler. This is the NHL9i. It's a low profile cooler, much more efficient than the stock one that comes with the actual CPU, and will allow the thing to run a lot quieter. A much bigger heatsink, much higher quality tolerances, and you get a much quieter fan as well. So overall the build will keep itself nice and cool and quiet. This is the M.2 hard drive, so this is a 256 gigabyte drive. This customer doesn't have huge storage needs at the moment, but there's plenty of scope to increase that. As previously mentioned, this is an Antec Mini ITX home theater PC case. Very stylish, very minimalist as well, very sturdy build. Usual things like USB 3 on the front and eSATA. It has a controllable case fan as well, so you can keep things cool and quiet if necessary. Nice look, modern look to it. Also has a DVD slot on the front, so if you're using it for Blu-rays or DVDs, you have everything you need. So extremely well built, high quality power supply, and everything works well. So we'll crack on with the build now, and the first thing we need to do is to mount the Intel CPU, which goes straight onto the board. We put down the retention clip and put everything into place, and then we will be applying thermal interface pound. This is the standard cooler that comes with it, perfect for a bigger type case, but for the environment that we put in this build into, a little bit on the small side, and also will get pretty loud if the internal environment gets a little bit warm. So we put the thermal compound on now, which allows for effective cooling from the CPU to the actual heatsink itself. I tend to spread it myself and make sure that everything gets done. So this is the cooler now mounted. So as you can see, a very big cooler, but it makes sure that we get full use of all the contact area. So nice and neat, cable tie the cabling away, and it's nice and low profile. Mounted the M.2 SSD onto the rear of the motherboard now, so that'll be completely out of the way, and this is the mounting for the aftermarket cooler. RAM's installed, and pretty much that's the motherboard complete. So preparation of the case now is the next point. So we get all the cables cable tied and use the ones that we need to do, and now we need to fit the I/O shield to the back of the motherboard, so that once the motherboard's dropped in, all the connections are protected. So I've prepped all the cabling now in readiness for the motherboard to go in, and the next stage of the build. So that's the motherboard in, all secured down with the 4 mounting screws in this particular case. All the ports are clear through the I/O shield, and I've started to put the power cabling in place and mounted some of the other drives such as USB 3, etc, and all the various power cables. So yeah. You'll see that, again, a very tight space to work. Important that we keep airflow as good as possible so that the various case fans can do what they need to do. This bracket then goes on top. This one houses the Blu-ray drive, so we have the Blu-ray burner on here as well. And there's also some future support to add some traditional hard drives in as well, if the need for additional storage is basically realized. So you've got a bit of expansion on there as well for your DVDs, your pictures, your movies, and all that kind of stuff as well. So fast storage and some extra storage as well on top, so you can keep things separate, which is always a good way to do things. So that's it. That's pretty much the case all done. All that's left for me now is to put Windows on there. So again, thank you very much for your time. I hope you enjoyed a bit more of a look into what I do. And until next time, thanks very much for watching.